Hi, everyone. This is Bill Ritter, and you're watching live coverage from ABC-7 New York. We invite you to check in throughout the day on our website, streaming app, and social platforms for breaking news, up-to-the-minute headlines, and AccuWeather. And remember, you can always find us on Channel 7, your home for Eyewitness News.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone, for being here today. Thank you to our Attorney General Davenport, to Acting Commissioner Cha, Lieutenant Colonel Sorotowicz, Chief Caggiano, Sheriff Curidan, Brad Bilheimer, Councilwoman Gonzalez, Carlos Medina. Thank you all so much for coming here today. I really appreciate it. And thanks to all of you. For months, we have seen dozens, even hundreds of videos of Donald Trump's ICE agents abusing their power, smashing cars, tear gassing families, gunning down American citizens, and violating our most basic rights. Trump has turned law enforcement agencies into militias loyal to him, not our Constitution. So we see agents hiding behind masks, no insignias, constantly changing license plates, breaking the core principles of what good policing needs to be to keep people safe. I've spoken to longtime Homeland Security professionals who've quit because they refused to take a loyalty oath to Donald Trump. I've spent my life defending our country, defending our Constitution. In fact, starting as a teenager at the Naval Academy, nearly 10 years in the Navy, and then at the U.S. Attorney's Office, and most recently in Congress, I've taken that oath. We have rules, we have standards in this country to enforce our laws in a just and orderly way. That's not what is happening today. ICE is making everyone less safe. I served all over the world in the Navy. I have seen what unaccountable militias look like and the fear and the danger that they spread. I won't let that happen in New Jersey. So today I'm announcing 3 steps. We are taking these 3 steps to protect people's rights and to keep them safe. Steps that were developed in coordination with the community and with law enforcement. First, I'm signing an executive order to ban ICE from launching actions from any state property. That means no ICE staging areas, no processing locations, no operating bases, no federal civil immigration actions run from any state grounds, not our parks, not our roadways, not our buildings. If federal officers have a warrant signed by a judge, we'll comply. If they want to access public state areas, they can, like everyone else. They can even make lawful individual arrests there, but they can't gather on state land for operations. And they can't send agents looking for people in non-public areas, like state offices, child care centers, state college dorms, or senior homes, without a warrant signed by a judge. As a second step today, the Attorney General's office is launching an online portal where people can upload videos of any interaction they see with ICE in our state. To be clear, we are not asking anyone to jump in harm's way or create an unsafe situation for themselves or for agents. People should record from a safe distance. But we know these agents aren't sharing their plans or their identities. They don't even bother to check if they're arresting American citizens by mistake. This portal will help us to hold them accountable, to track their actions, collect that information, and use it to spot patterns that can inform our response as a state, including in court. So if you're approached by an agent or see an ICE operation taking place and you're at a safe distance, get out your phones, send us your videos, and help to keep New Jersey safe. Finally, the third thing we're doing is launching a Know Your Rights website with quick, accurate information on immigration law and advice on how to interact with agents on the street. It's available in 22 languages. And if you need a lawyer, you can find one there. This is a living page and will continue to be updated to best meet community needs as we move forward. Go to nj.gov/knowyourrights. In the end, this is about the Constitution. As public servants, we've sworn to defend it. And that means the Fourth Amendment, protections against unreasonable searches and seizures, the Fifth Amendment, rights to due process, the 10th Amendment, states' rights. We are going to defend those rights here in New Jersey. It's also about public safety. When people are too scared to interact with our institutions, including state and local police, it hurts everyone. In New Jersey, we don't want sick people too afraid to seek care. We don't want kids afraid of going to school. We don't want witnesses afraid of reporting crimes. This is about our values as a nation and certainly as a state. We all know about Renee Good, a mother of 3 shot dead in Minneapolis after dropping her 6-year-old off at school. We all know about Alex Preddy, a VA ICU nurse who spent years caring for veterans, often at the worst times in their lives, only to be tackled and shot point blank in the back by not one, but 2 different ICE agents in the middle of the street. We know about 5-year-old Liam Ramos detained in his bunny hat and Spider-Man backpack on his way home from school and held for 12 days. Now, communities across New Jersey have told me that they are on edge. We're seeing hits to small businesses as people are afraid to go to work. We're hearing concerns about the future as children are being kept home from school. The fear isn't just from people with undocumented status, but American citizens, and it's traumatizing our kids. A teacher sent me a note from a 4th grader who said that she wanted me to protect families from ICE. A 4th grader worrying about that. In the state of New Jersey, we are going to fight to protect everyone's rights. We're going to uphold the Constitution, prevent harassment and violence, and keep all of our families and communities safe. And now, I'll turn it over to the Attorney General for a few words before I sign the order.
I am honored to stand with Governor Sherrill to announce the steps New Jersey is taking to protect our state's immigrant communities. As the proud granddaughter of a Brazilian immigrant and a proud New Jerseyan, I know that our immigrant communities are our strength. Immigrants are the backbone of our economy, our communities, our schools, and so much more. But the current administration in Washington does not care. Instead, they coordinate deliberate and destabilizing attacks on immigrant communities every single day. And as we've seen, American citizens are not safe from these attacks. I've had a long career working alongside law enforcement, and I've had the opportunity to work with many honorable people who serve in law enforcement, people who wake up every day dedicated to doing the right thing. But when law enforcement officers, including federal agents, violate our laws, they violate the trust the community places in law enforcement as a whole. And as we've seen, the tactics do not make our communities any safer. That's why I'm grateful for Governor Sherrill's leadership in standing up for our immigrant communities. The executive order the governor is signing today will ensure that ICE cannot use state property as a staging ground for its immigration enforcement operations. It also ensures that state workers and residents accessing services know that we will not consent to immigration officers entering non-public areas of that property. Our office will work together with the governor to ensure that state agencies in New Jersey understand that an administrative warrant alone is not enough to allow ICE to conduct searches or arrests on state property. These protections are critical to ensuring that every New Jerseyan feels comfortable accessing state services and ensuring that state employees can come to work knowing that the state will do everything it can to ensure that civil immigration raids do not happen on state property. As the governor just said, we're also launching an online portal so the public has a place to tell us directly about their experiences with federal civil immigration enforcement who they may believe violates the law. We recognize the urgency of this moment, and the portal has been carefully designed using plain language and easy to follow steps so that it's easy to use while ensuring your anonymity and privacy are protected. While we cannot guarantee any particular action by our office in response to reports on the portal, we will review every report with care and, as we do in every case, analyze the facts and the law. Your firsthand reports will help us identify trends in ICE enforcement tactics, allowing us to shape our state's legal strategy. I do want to emphasize again, safety comes first. We are not encouraging anyone to interfere with ongoing law enforcement operations. Do not put your safety, the safety of others, or the safety of law enforcement in jeopardy. But if you can document an incident from a safe distance, we're grateful for your help. And also, please be sure to protect your own safety by not uploading any confidential or sensitive information to the portal. The actions Governor Sherrill is announcing today are just the latest step we have taken here in New Jersey to lead the fight to protect our immigrant communities from unlawful attacks on out of Washington. I am so proud that New Jersey is leading the fight in court against the president's unconstitutional executive order seeking to end birthright citizenship. I am so proud that New Jersey is continuing to fight for our dreamers, leading a court challenge that has preserved DACA across most of the country. And I am so proud of our Immigrant Trust Directive, which continues to be a critical public safety tool that keeps our state and our immigrant communities safe. As our state's chief law enforcement officer, I can promise you this much. When Washington attacks our constitutional rights, when Washington violates the law, when Washington makes our communities less safe, Governor Sherrill and I will protect and defend the people of New Jersey every single time. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. At a time when the federal government's policies and rhetoric are creating confusion and fear in immigrant communities, we in New Jersey under Governor Sherrill are taking a different approach, one grounded in facts, fairness, and human dignity, one grounded in the knowledge that every resident in this state has rights, regardless of where they were born or what language they speak. Our administration is committed to ensuring that every resident understands these rights and has access to trusted information, and ensuring that every resident has access to legal support to defend those rights. The Office of New Americans and the Department of Human Services has developed Know Your Rights materials that are available in 22 languages and can be downloaded, printed, or shared online. These resources clearly explain constitutional and legal protections, including what to do during interactions with law enforcement or immigrant agents. They're accessible and reliable, they're free, they're designed to help people stay informed. But information alone isn't enough. That's why our state also supports a network of legal services and representation, including partnerships with organizations that provide counsel for adults and children navigating immigration proceedings who otherwise would not have any legal representation. That legal representation ensures that residents get their day in court. We will not allow misinformation or intimidation to prevent people from accessing the rights and resources they are entitled to under the law. In New Jersey, we stand for a fair and just system for all. No one should be scared into silence or isolation. So please visit the website to find all of this information. The governor just mentioned it, but nj.gov/knowyourrights. We're here to support with clarity, with compassion, and with resources that make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we're going to sign the executive order. Now I think we have time for some on topic.
And if you can say your names and your outlets, so we're
I'm Naomi Eyewitness, New Jersey. I just know. What's a little bit more about yesterday's incident in Roxbury? Any updates? Any more information on what happened yesterday?
So none at this time. It is an active investigation, and I'm not able to provide any more details than we put out yesterday.
Yeah, Governor David Mathau, WHYY. Governor, can you tell us what is the address of the portal and how is this system going to work to make sure that the videos that are submitted are okay to be shared, and will pictures be included as well?
Is the portal on the Know Your Rights?
It's on the same address.
The portal's at the same address. And this is not something that will be publicly accessible. These are videos that you can download that the Attorney General's office will be reviewing. Really because when we've asked ICE to help us understand what their operations are in the state, they really haven't been forthcoming. We often hear reports or get concerns from the community about rumors that they are hearing. This is going to help us understand better what the operations around the state are and better track those. But it's not a searchable website for the public. This is more for us to better understand ICE operations and protect people.
So how will that information be shared with the public?
The information itself will be utilized if it makes sense in any cases we might bring, but really what we're looking for is information on ICE activities across the state so we can better understand where they are operating, how they're operating, and work to keep people safe.
Hi, Governor. Hunter with Politico. Are you worried that any of these actions taken today will provoke the Trump administration or perhaps send more federal agents into the state?
Certainly it should not provoke anybody to demand that law enforcement officers are being held to the highest standard, as our New Jersey law enforcement officers are, that they are working to keep the public safe, and that they are acting in accordance with the law and the Constitution.
And prior to the executive order that you just signed, did ICE have any presence on state property?
We, again, have heard rumors across the state. This will help us better track exactly where they're trying to operate, and this sets out for the people on state property. So people that are, for example, in some state nursing homes, if ICE comes up to that home, then people there will have the state executive order and better be informed about how to engage with them. Part of the problem that we are seeing is that ICE is saying they don't need warrants. That is not true. That is not constitutional. So we are demanding warrants. That's also on the Know Your Rights page, so that not only will our state workers who we are training, given this executive order, on how they should interact with ICE, but also citizens and residents of New Jersey will have a page to understand all of their rights as well.
Do you think ICE should be abolished?
Governor, for en masse inhibition, according to your new executive order, what happened in Roxbury would not have happened because they actually retained that man on the street. So how can you make sure your administration that this situation is going to happen? Are you going to have posts to supervise ICE? Because by the time perhaps your people get to them, this is already, the ICE is gone with the person. So how are you keeping track of that? And also, how is your administration keeping track of the people that are being detained to make sure they indeed are criminals? Because DHS is saying he was a criminal, but how do you make sure that indeed they were criminals?
So it's different from state, what we're designating state property is state-owned property, like the State House, which is different from some of the areas of the state. So ICE can conduct some of their lawful investigations and apprehensions in the state itself. They can't mount operations from state property. And as far as tracking people, this has been part of my concern because before I became governor as a congresswoman, I would have people coming to my congressional office trying to track different people down that ICE, we thought, had apprehended, but we were not given information on where those people were. It was very hard to track them. Sometimes we couldn't find them for days, even weeks in the system. And so this helps us better understand if they are picking people up in our state. We are hoping that we will be able to better track that if people have some video evidence of that and we can figure out who they are. I can't really comment yet on what might have gone on, but because what just happened in Roxbury is a current investigation right now.
The new executive order would not include streets.
So in public areas, and I'll let the Attorney General weigh in on this as well, ICE agents are allowed on public areas even if they are state property, if they're conducting lawful, if they're acting within the law. There will be no operations launched off of state properties that are open to the public, although ICE agents will be, like anyone else, allowed in those public spaces. And then in the state property that is limited and is non-public, they will not be allowed in without a judicial warrant. General, do you have anything more to add?
No, I think where we saw this yesterday, it was a public street, and the executive order wouldn't have any bearing on that.
Taken from the record newspaper. Just to clarify on this state property, do NJ Transit buses and train stations count and the moving vehicle themselves, as well as what does this mean at the Meadowlands when FIFA gets here in terms of coordination with other federal law enforcement on that state property?
This is, again, if it is public property where the public is allowed and ICE is operating within the law, then they would have the ability to go there, but they would not be able to launch operations off of public state property. They wouldn't be able to, mount assemble there and mount from, go from there for any sort of operations. As far as FIFA goes, we are working closely with law enforcement and members of DHS to make sure that people are secure there. So we are partnering with them. This is more for the civil immigration enforcement concerns that we have, especially things that we've seen, for example, going on in Minnesota, that we want to make sure people both know their rights, have the ability to report what's going on in our state, and we have the ability to understand if there's any law enforcement activity in our state that we think could be problematic, and then have evidence to handle it.
Just real quick on the energy transit part of it, because I just want to make sure that I'm understanding it correctly. So like last week in Jersey City, there were ICE agents outside of a light rail station arresting people. Is that something that would be allowed under this executive order?
Public areas. To be clear, any public area, anybody of the public, including ICE, can be in those public areas. So it really just determines if it's state property that's non-public, that's where the executive order covers.
The portal, how quickly are you going to be tracking or processing these videos? Like, are you trying to get ahead of ICE before they get here? What is the point of tracking these trends, especially if they're not being shared with the public?
I can start, and then you can go how quickly. So because these will be videos I anticipate of ongoing activity, they won't be in some way pre-reporting what ICE is doing. They will generally be, I anticipate, videos of what ICE is doing on the ground. What this is solving for is the fact that our engagement with ICE, they have not been very forthcoming. They've worn masks, they haven't had insignia, they've changed license plates so that their vehicles aren't tracked. In fact, in speaking to one police officer here in the state, he went up to an ICE agent to ask for identification, and the ICE agent said he didn't need to respond and he didn't need to give identification. Seeing as how he was heavily armed and did not present any evidence that he was a law enforcement officer, that was incorrect. So what this does is help us to better track what is going on in the state, where ICE is operating, if they are picking people up, who those people are, so we can better track that. And then when they give us information, much of what is coming out of the Trump administration has been proven to be incorrect. So here what we are doing is setting up a system so that we can have some facts ourselves so that we can check that information. General?
Thank you. As to the speed with any investigation or any information that comes to us, we'll have teams of both our Division of Civil Rights and our Division of Criminal Justice who will be looking at this, but we want to make sure that we do it carefully. And there may be some that are not anonymous. There may be some with information that we can follow up. So it'll be really case by case, but we'll take everyone in due course, make sure that we're applying to the facts, to the law. But to the point of this is not anticipatory, right? Like certainly if there's any concerns or anything that raises an alarm, 911 should be the first place where people go. It should not be to the portal, because the portal will not be in real time being able to do anything that would be on the street.
Have you heard, since you announced this on TV a few weeks ago, have you heard from the Trump administration, and is there any thought that maybe there might be legal action from them to stop some of these actions?
No, they've not reached out on this matter.
All right, last question. Clarification, if I may, and I think probably, General, this would be for you, but maybe Governor for you as well. Okay, so ICE shows up in cars on the street in a public area. How do we define launch an operation? Because if a bunch of them get out of the car and then they all of a sudden start going after somebody or going into a house, I mean, how do we know what that is or is not?
So really the launching area is really when you think about state property like a parking lot, a state parking lot, that you wouldn't be allowed to marshal there, get all your folks together, and then use that property, then go out perhaps into the city of Trenton and use that as the common ground. So that's really what that example is.
So it would not be illegal or something that you would object to if they show up, a bunch of them jump out of cars, and then they're on their merry way into a house?
On a public street, I mean, and anybody could be there, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.